Let's get into the latest Celtics news and rumors here on Chat Sports. Harrison Barnes, the trade rumor will not go away, Chase, as we close in on the deadline.
But the conversation around Harrison Barnes to the Celtics has calmed down just a little bit. But I'll tell you what, Harrison Barnes would be a great addition for this team. That is a game under 500. What has happened to the Boston Celtics? It's incredible. I mean, this is a team that made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They need a premier player because something is out of whack with Boston right now. Maybe Harrison Barnes could be that piece. What's of note here with Boston, they have that $28.5 million trade exception because Gordon Hayward left. That allows them to absorb a pretty fat salary.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, the Celtics have been very fascinated by Barnes this year. I mean, We're about a month into this now that they've been connected to Barnes. They like Barnes. I don't know that they've made an offer. I know this. Boston's got to make a move, and you just alluded to it. They're in a funk. They can't figure things out. They win a game or two, and you're like, oh, maybe they're back on track. Then they lose 3 in a row. They had a team meeting recently that a couple of their players talked about. Something's got to change, and change quickly. The good news is, while they're the 8 seed right now in the East, the difference between like 4 and 8 is like a game and a half.
Exactly.
I mean, it's very crowded there. So you win 3 or 4 games in a row, all of a sudden you're the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. That's just how things sit right now. I don't love the Barnes idea with Boston, but hey, it gives you another scorer. It gives you wing depth, another defender as well. And Barnes has had a really, really good season in 2020-21 for the Sacramento Kings. And I will say on Sacramento's side of things, if they can get a first-round pick for Harrison Barnes, I'm definitely doing that.
You do it because if you're the Sacramento Kings, you're not going to make it to the playoffs this year. The only untouchables on that roster should be Tyrese Halliburton, the rookie out of Iowa State, and De'Aaron Fox, who they signed to a max contract recently. If you can get a first back for Harrison Barnes, you have to do it. Now, look, Harrison Barnes, he's been ridiculed because he came up small with the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals. Harrison Barnes isn't the prospect and the player that many expected him to be coming out of North Carolina. He's having a career year, though, this year. He can hit threes consistently. He can also defend, and he's a really good athlete. Harrison Barnes, he's right on the cusp of potentially being a future All-Star. He's been that good this year.
Hey, I've gotten to the point, too, with Boston. If even I personally don't think it's the ideal fit for them, do something, because whatever you're doing right now,
stack up good players.
It ain't working, and you're in win-now mode. Should the Celtics trade for Harrison Barnes? Get your votes in on this one. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. You got to trade for somebody. That's my strongest opinion here. We'll end up seeing if Barnes is the guy for Boston. But let us know what you guys think. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Should the Boston Celtics trade for Harrison Barnes? If the Celtics trade for Barnes, we're going to be covering it live on YouTube. Our Thursday trade deadline special will be live, 1 o'clock Eastern. Hell, who knows? Could go live earlier if a major move happens. Here's what you got to do. Subscribe, turn on notifications. Chase and myself will be breaking down everything that happens during the NBA trade deadline. Again, that's 1 o'clock Eastern time. Hit the link below, youtube.com/chatsportstv. We will cover every single trade that happens for whatever your team is. So go ahead and make sure you subscribe to us here at Chat Sports. All the trade deadline news, rumors, everything that circulates, Chase. I'm fired up already.
And look, a lot of this is conjecture, a lot of this is rumors, but you never know what's going to happen on the NBA trade deadline. There could be a bevy of superstars who were dealt. There could be some secondary options who were traded, but we're going to cover it all here, and there are potentially big names who could be on the trading block.
Let's talk Aaron Gordon with the Boston Celtics as well. This has kind of circulated the last few days. Gordon requested a trade, and the Celtics are one of the teams interested.
You compare Aaron Gordon in terms of fit for the Celtics next to Harrison Barnes. Maybe Aaron Gordon is a better fit. I'm not sure he's as good of a player, nor is he as consistent, nor does he have the playoff experience of Harrison Barnes. But Aaron Gordon is an intriguing option because he is uber athletic. Now, he was drafted number 4 overall out of Arizona. A lot of people expected him to be a superstar. He is not that, but his game has certainly developed over the last few years. The thing with Aaron Gordon, I mean, he's been stuck in Orlando. He's been overshadowed. So he's one of those players, Harrison, where I feel like if he goes to a contender, he could just go from being a caged bird to being a bird that flies. He could be unleashed a little bit. You put him in a better system, and he could really start to live up to his full potential and get some recognition for being one of the better athletes and all-around players in the league because he's a really good defender as well.
Yeah, and to your point, I think you get him into a winning environment, get him away from the Orlando Magic, which he's been connected to being traded for like 4 trade deadlines now. It's like every year Aaron Gordon's on the trade block, but he never gets dealt. Now he's actually requested a trade. I think he's like, okay, now I'm on board with getting traded, whereas before it seemed like they were on board with potentially moving him. Maybe it happens this year. Aaron Gordon,
get him out of Orlando.
To your point, he's never the most natural player. You watch him play sometimes. He's kind of awkward handling the ball, but freak athlete. And I've kind of been in the camp that I think the Celtics need a big. This isn't really the big I have in mind, but if you compare him to like a Harrison Barnes, Gordon can play the 4 and even some small ball 5, which is not really something Barnes can do, especially when it comes to the 5 position. I think if you want to play uber small, you could put Gordon at the 5 and play 5 out.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realize that Aaron Gordon is shooting 40% from 3, Harrison. So this is a guy who can stretch the floor. If you want to play small ball, he can play the 4 or the 5, and he can survive defensively. He brings a lot of value and a lot of versatility to a team. People just don't realize that because he's been stuck in Orlando for so long.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens here. A couple of players that have been connected to the Boston Celtics, Harrison Barnes, Aaron Gordon. A little more on Gordon here, and then you can go ahead and let us know what you guys think. Barnes or Gordon, who do you guys think the Celtics should go after? I think I would actually gamble on Aaron Gordon here because I think it at least comes closer to filling that need of front court help.
No, I do agree with you. And Aaron Gordon is seeking a larger market, okay? He's been in Orlando for so long. Remember when he kind of burst onto the national scene during the NBA dunk contest a couple of years ago with Zach LaVine, and he started to gain some star power.
Which, by the way, they should just invite those 2 guys every year.
They should.
And then you're set for the next decade.
It'd be better than the dunk contest that we just saw a few weeks ago. There's no doubt about that. So Aaron Gordon, yeah, maybe a better fit for the Boston Celtics, and as we look at the comments, a lot of people agree with that sentiment.
HBAG, get your votes in. Who should the Celtics go after? And speaking of the front court, there might be a little drama with Tristan Thompson, a report from Kevin O'Connor that he may not be loved in that Celtics locker room. Now, Jason Tatum shot that down on Twitter by quote tweeting it, or Jaylen Brown, saying cap emoji, not no cap on that one, saying, that's fake, that's not true. You listened to the podcast where they were discussing it, and I guess he's been, not taking the NBA health and safety protocols seriously. He's kind of just doing whatever the hell he wants.
That's basically what the report from Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer entailed. He was talking to Chris Vernon on their podcast, The Mismatch. He basically said that according to his sources, Tristan Thompson has been ignoring NBA protocols, and because of that, he's been out of the lineup because of health and safety concerns because of the coronavirus. So Kevin O'Connor basically said, yeah, Tristan Thompson continues to go out. He's ignoring all of the protocols. And because of that, he's rubbing teammates the wrong way because they're saying, Tristan Thompson, I mean, I understand. We all want to go out. We want to go have drinks and go out to dinner. But we all have to sacrifice. This is a very abnormal season. So just follow the rules. And if you do so, you won't be held out of the lineup because of the rules in place. And that has rubbed and ticked off some of the Boston Celtics players, according to that report.
And I wonder, as we've both said consistently, that the Celtics, need to get better at the front court and they're at the 4 and the 5 position, that do you consider trying to trade a Tristan Thompson? Maybe package him with someone else for a big? Is that something that could be an option there?
We talk about Harrison Barnes and we talk about Aaron Gordon. They are not the traditional big that the Celtics really need. And the Celtics, according to reports, were all in on Nikolai Vucevic. And I think that would be the ideal player for this lineup because I think he would maximize the potential for everybody on that roster. They're not going to get Vooch, so they have to settle for another player. But if I'm Danny Ainge, I'm targeting front court players like Andre Drummond, maybe some other players on the buyout market rather than a wing because you already have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe Tristan Thompson could be part of a trade package to get a player to Boston. Name a player Boston should trade for. We just talked about a few in Barnes and, of course, Aaron Gordon. Maybe there's someone else that you have in mind. Name a player that the Boston Celtics should trade for before the NBA trade deadline. Real quick, one guy.
I guess they go. Maybe are they a wild card for Andre Drummond? Potentially because of that trade exception,
Maybe.
Right?
Do they get desperate enough?
If they get desperate, they can absorb that salary.
Maybe it's Drummond. Let us know what you guys think.